my name is Beth Gualda, and I'm the author of 12 fantasy romance novels featuring angels. My latest book is Nightfall's Angel. It's available on Kindle and through Amazon.com. It picks up 5 years after the last book of my first series, Moonlit Wings, ended. And it features the rogue angel, currently rogue, Angel Mazriel, and his lovely wife, Monica. I'm going to be reading an excerpt from the first chapter, so the scene more or less sets itself. Chapter 1. Mazriel was ready to confess all. Even as a dark angel of death, he had decided he'd had enough of lying. Of course, just thinking that made him smile. Enough of lying. If anyone had told him such a thing 5 years ago, he'd have laughed in their face. Everything about him was a lie. But then, 5 years ago, everything had changed for Mazriel. As his alter ego, Marco de Luzan, he'd met Monica McCutcheon, and after one frivolous night of compatible companionship and delightful sex, she'd opened the door to a world full of new purpose and exciting possibilities for Mazriel. He had proposed marriage, and they had eloped, and now Mazriel, dark angel of death, had a wife. Monica was a great wife, too, and Mazriel liked her a lot. She was devoted, trusting, and easy to please. She told him she loved him every chance she got, and that made Mazriel feel nice, considering he wasn't the most lovable creature. He knew Monica deserved nothing less in return, but he couldn't reciprocate her feelings, not being who he was. These past 5 years he'd found other ways to keep her content, and regarding all other matters of the heart, he'd lied to her. Day in and day out. Their entire marriage was a lie. Mazriel knew it was putting a strain on their relationship. Mazriel liked Monica so much now he didn't want to lie to her anymore. Besides, it was past time to tell her the truth. He was certain Monica loved him enough to take his truths in stride. Mazriel had already pictured in his mind how such a confession would play out. First, he would tell her everything about him, holding nothing back. Of course, she'd be wary in the beginning, but then Mazriel expected her to quickly put 2 and 2 together. She'd know every detail of his mysterious past. She'd have new appreciation for his vast wealth. Monica would understand his long absences during the night. Their unconventional relationship would make sense to her then. After all, Monica was an intelligent woman for her age. But the one thing Mazriel was most anxious to enlighten his wife about was all those times he'd roused her from a sound sleep and made passionate love to her in the guise of an angel with raven-colored wings. She would realize that that particular dream wasn't recurring just because she had a penchant for erotic dreams. At long last, she would know who and what he was. She would love him for himself. She'd be shocked, a little angry, but then awestruck, maybe even a little turned on. Yes, and pigs could fly. Mazriel was fooling himself. It wouldn't be like that at all. If he ever confessed that he was a fallen angel to Monica, all hell would break loose, literally as well as figuratively. He wanted to tell her the truth more than anything he had wanted in a very long time, and being as self-indulgent as he was, not being able to was driving him crazy. As of late, he'd been temperamental and moody, and took a lot of his frustrations out on Monica. Dear, sweet, undeserving Monica. It wasn't impossible. Mazriel knew a number of angels who had disclosed their true identities to their significant others. His angelic brother Percival came to mind. Shab was a guardian angel who told his comely young charge who he really was. He claimed it was to save her soul, but Mazriel suspected otherwise. Maya Cotton was an exceptional woman, and Shab had been in love with her. He had wanted to tell Maya the truth for the same reason Mazriel wanted to tell Monica the truth. Maya hadn't believed Shab at first, but then she did. And now, she and Shab were married, madly in love, and thriving in his reality. The worst part of that disclosure was that when Percival revealed his identity to Monica, He'd snatched her away from Mazriel's influence. After all, Maya had just agreed to marry Mazriel, and then Shab showed up, and Maya was lost. Mazriel had never hated his brother more than he did that day. It wasn't just the fact Shab ruined Mazriel's chances of corrupting Maya. Yes, he had intended on making Maya as wicked as he was, but there was more to their relationship than that. If Mazriel had ever genuinely loved anyone, it was Maya. Through the years, Mazriel and Pershibel had struck up a tentative and civil relationship for Maya's sake, but Mazriel had never forgiven Shab for interfering in his engagement to Maya. But then Mazriel wasn't in the habit of forgiving anybody. With Monica, it was different. He'd married her because she was fun, and he believed he deserved to have someone fun. He had never had any intention of corrupting her, and didn't believe telling her the truth would corrupt her, but all the holier-than-thou angels who were holding his leash, including Monica's guardian Chasen, were convinced if Monica knew her true love was a fallen angel, she would succumb to his corruption to keep loving him. They had only agreed to let Mazriel marry her if he promised never to tell Monica the truth about himself, and he agreed to it. For 5 years, the whole marriage based on lies thing had worked, but Mazriel was done playing the part of a loving human husband who went to work in a law office from 9 to 5 every day and returned home each evening to his doting wife. Something had to give. All these lies, they weren't fair to Monica, or to him. At the stoplight, Mazriel glanced at the wrapped bouquet of roses on the passenger seat. Another day, another token of forgiveness. They had been fighting again. Mazriel couldn't even remember over what. He'd realized he'd been on edge more and more, and it seemed as if the slightest thing set him off. He hated that his sweet Monica bore the brunt of his ill temper, but his darkness, his reality, was getting harder and harder to suppress. So, that's an excerpt from the first chapter. And to motivate my readers, I'd like to give away a $25 Amazon gift card to the first person who purchases Nightfall's Angel and leaves a review. You can purchase either the Kindle or the Amazon paperback, my personal favorite. You can contact me through my website for further details, www.author.bethgualda.com. Until then, happy reading, and thanks for watching.